Well, I think initially when I first got into our profession, I thought that a 24/7 mantra was very important to be able to practice. I thought that my initial thoughts were that, man, you really had to outwork your competition. You always had to get up as early as you possibly could get up and work the entire day and get things in no matter what it was and whatever time of day it was, that you were going to always make yourself available. I think that was my initial foray into our profession. Now I've adjusted, since that time, but I thought it was very important to establish a very strong work ethic when you first got involved in our profession.
What have you adjusted as you've gone on in this business and how things change?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking that, because I will tell you that I'm not sure that was the right mindset by which to approach our profession. I thought that by outworking the competition and by pretty much sacrificing whatever took place in order for the benefit of your professional development was the way to go, and I think that that's absolutely not the right way to go. I thought that it was important that you really adjusted for that and understood that your personal development was clearly just as important as your professional development. Taking time away from the profession, making sure that you had your own time, making sure you had time for family or loved ones, whatever that may be, so that you could be able to really refresh yourself. I think that that over the course of time, was able to adjust to that and understand that you didn't have to be a 24/7 person to be successful. 24/6 was a way that I went about it at first, and then to be able to adjust that even more has really benefited me over the course of the long time that I've been involved in college athletics.
You told us that at a staff meeting once, 24/6. What does 24/6 mean?
I learned early on that I had to have some time, away from what we do. And so 24/6 meant to me that on Sundays, for me, it just happened to be Sundays, that was a time that I was going to really separate myself from everything that we were doing within our profession. And whether that was that I was going to have an extra workout that day, or whether I was going to spend some time reading or doing some things with my family, whatever that may be, that I was going to make sure that folks knew that, boy, Mike's really accessible pretty much all the time, but he's not necessarily accessible on this particular day, because that's his time. And I think what that did for me also is it allowed me to be able to work with our staff so that they knew how important that was for them as well too, so that they understood, and we all understand, that we have to really balance ourselves between what we're doing professionally and personally.
What are some of the things that you remember your mentors telling you, pieces of advice that you picked up along the way that are important?
Well, I think that some of that would have to do certainly with work hard. I think, from a work ethic standpoint, that was critically important, to be disciplined in what you do, to be able to identify what your core values are. What are the core values that you represent, and that you'll never sacrifice anything for those core values, no matter what it is, no matter the pressure in your profession, no matter what type of situations you may find yourself in. What are those core values that you'll never sacrifice for anything? And I think the other thing that I've learned is how are you going to be compassionate? How are you going to recognize that building relationships and developing those relationships and being compassionate with what you do in your profession is critically important. But I think those would probably be some of the key things that I've learned.
Now that you're at the point where you are at a high level in your career and been through a lot, and you're mentoring others, what are the things that you find yourself consistently telling young people, maybe like me, that you say, hey, this is what you need to do to be successful? Well,
I think first and foremost, Ben, it probably comes back to how I learned coming up, which actually is not the right way. And that was, to those people I work with, take a break. Make sure that you find some time that you can separate yourself from what we do. That, to me, is probably the most important thing that I try to share with the people that I work with. I think it's important that we talk about what are those values that we represent. How can we express courage and confidence when we're in leadership roles, but also compassion, and how do those intersect with your core values? What are the things that you see from a professional development are important for you, and how are you maximizing those in addition to your professional development? And then making sure that we recognize that no matter where we work and who we work for, it isn't about that, it's more about who we work with, right? And how do you develop those relationships so that you can make sure that you're growing people as people. And I think at the end of all of that, then you're going to have professional success as well too. But those are probably some of the things that I try to share with the folks I work with every day.
And I guess the only other thing that comes to mind is, as you in a leadership level in college athletics look around the country, what are the characteristics of successful athletic departments that you consistently see over and over again that distinguish those successful departments?
You know, I think those successful departments are ones that that represent the higher calling, really, in higher education, that recognize that they're not the most important thing that happens on that campus. I think those athletic programs that can do that and can be able to say, hey, we're not the most important thing that happens on our campus. We're a great advertising vehicle. We have an opportunity to maximize all these great things we're doing in education and research, and to do it in a way of that we represent high integrity, great values, great moral integrity as well too. Those are the programs that I think nationally you can see that over the course of time will consistently be successful. They're going to be successful academically, they're going to be successful in social reflections of what they're trying to do, and they're going to be successful competitively. Those that sacrifice those are the ones that I think you'll see some success quick. It may be short-lived, but certainly it's not sustainable.